How's everybody doing today? This is Michael Johansen. You guys know me as MJ. We're going to do my must-have 2020 in the bag. These are my must-have drivers that I use during the year. These are the ones my go-to that I always go with. I use for my long-range stuff, and most of my, actually almost all my shots is a Z crank or an ESP crank. Usually carry a couple of them, one beat and one stable. And then my next one that I use if I need a little more distance, fight through the wind, I use a Zeus. It's a little bigger rim, allows it to bite back a little more for me. I don't get that much more distance than anything else out of it, but it does a job for me. Now if it gets windy or I need it to really hook hard, I go with the Z Force, just my meat hook, overstable disc. So I can trust it, not worried about where it's going. These are my top drivers. Let's go see how they fly in the field for me. These are my main fairway drivers that I use for the year. They kind of roll in and out on me sometimes between Mantis, Heat, Undertaker, Vulture, but the ones I mostly stick with, I start with for my longer stuff, slightly lower tunnel turnovers. A little bit easier in the wind, I use an ESP or a Z Heat. Sometimes it's titanium, depending upon what I do. They're just easy to grab a hold of and throw, and they do whatever you want them. If I need a little more meat, a little more straighter, not quite as much turn to the right, I have a tendency to go with an ESP Undertaker. They just handle a little bit more power, a little bit more pop. I still don't use them for super long range, but they get used quite a bit. Now if it gets windy or I need to throw a sidearm, some trick shot thumbers, you know, kind of a utility disc, I go with a Big Z machete. I don't have to worry about it. I know it's going to hook up for me. I'm not worried about anything, so I can just trust it. Those are my top 3 main fairway drivers that I use for the year. Let's go out to the field and see how they fly. These are my mids that I use. It's pretty simple and standard. 90% of my mids I use are all Comets. I keep a stable one in the bag from last year. They just power through the wind and I don't have to worry about anything. Nice and straight with a little finish on the left. If I need something that turns over a little more, hyzer flip, I just go with a broken end Comet. Really simple bag for me. You know, so it does all my stuff inside of really 350, sometimes mostly low tunnel shots. Sometimes there'll be trick shots for rollers and some other things. But when we get into the tricky stuff and all your low ceiling, late breaking turnovers and stuff like that, I use a different one than everybody uses. I use an ESP Sting. Great for beginners, really easy to throw. I don't have to worry about throwing it hard. I can make it do all sorts of stuff and crazy lines you see in the woods. Those are the top 3 mids that I use. Let's go see how they throw in the field. And then we go into my putting approaches, which are just my approaches for inside about 300 feet or so. I go with, usually use for my flippy and touch stuff, I use a beat up D-banger. Just allows me to set them on a hyzer flip, turn them over a little easier. Just nice and comfortable disc. I don't have to worry about what it's doing. It lands nice and soft for me. If I need a little more pop and distance, I go with one of my Tour Series that I've had run a couple years ago, a nice ESP banger. They hold up to a little more power, run a little bit straighter for me, maybe have a little finish. But if I want something to turn and hyzer out for me, I just go with a nice new stable one. I don't have to worry about what it's doing. It's gonna hook up for me, fight all my wind, use it for my hyzer shots inside of 300, a little shorter. These are my main putters and throwers that I use. They're all bangers. Let's go see how I use them in the field. And this is the putter I use for just putting. I don't use it for anything else except maybe some short little sidearms. It's just a Ringer GT, soft plastic. I like them because they're nice and stable and straight. I can putt them hard and they drop out the sky and I don't have to worry about them going past the basket or anything. That's my in the bag. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you like my disc and what I use, and let me know how you think about my Comet and what you guys would use it for.